he's like patting around. He's like, I can't find the condom. And I was like, oh
my God.
What do you mean you can't find the fucking condom? It was on your dick. Find it. I was like, what do you
You're
mean?
the owner of that.
I was like, I take the pill every day. You put that on. There's no negotiation here. Pull your weight. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Femme Tell All podcast. My name is Madison Bellissimo.
And I'm Ruth Devereaux.
And we're so happy you're here.
So happy you're here.
Couldn't be more happy.
And what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about
birth control. It's like, we're going to get there. So for anyone that didn't hear that through the chaos, we're talking about contraception, birth control, the pill, the IUD.
Mm-hmm. Everything women are offered and none of which men are offered.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
Let
it.
me roll my eyes. Okay.
Yeah, if you're listening, we're both rolling our eyes.
Yeah, no, there's actually a funny condom story that I could get into on this.
Should we kick it off with a condom story?
I don't think I've shared this on. Have I shared
I don't think I know what story this is.
All right, wow, we're kicking it off. All right. I love when I overshare on the internet. So my first boyfriend and I, even though we had both gotten tested and we were like really adamant about our sexual health because we still used condoms. Honestly, the entirety of our relationship, which is fucking insane to me. And I'm like, shout out. Let's talk about that. If he ever wants to talk about that, I'd love to talk to him about that.
You want to come on the show?
Yeah. I'm like, I wonder if I think it was mostly out of respect for me because I was deathly afraid of getting pregnant, even though I was on the pill. Again,
continue.
I think there's a lot going on there. But again, I was merely
You guys were together for a long time.
We were together for a long time. We would start without a condom.
How much
towards
plastic
the end.
do you think you've put into this world?
I've single-handedly polluted the Atlantic Ocean. Oh my God, no. I'm so sorry. That is such a shitty joke to make. But anyway, so we used a lot of condoms, to say the least. And I still do think about it. Funny that we used so many for 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm really giving up who it is now. So, sorry. Anyway, but when I was first having sex with him, I was newly not a virgin, right? Like this was my first partner. We were starting to get, she's there. I can't, there's so much I can say. I'm like, anyway, let me get to the nitty gritty. Okay. One of the times he pulled out.
Okay.
He was like, and I went, what, bitch? What? And he was like, he's like patting around. He's like, I can't find the condom. And I was like,
oh my God.
What do you mean you can't find the fucking condom? It was on your dick. Find it. I was like, what do you mean?
You're the owner of that.
I was like, I take the pill every day. You put that on. There's no negotiation here. Pull your weight. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, and he's like looking around the bed. And I'm like, couldn't have gotten too far, my guy. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, wow, we're starting this episode. Very good. Anyway, so then I go, you have to find it. And he was like, and because I was starting to hyperventilate at this point, I was like, what do you mean you can't? And he was like, oh, okay, honey, it's okay. And he was I need to commend him on this. He handled it brilliantly. Besides being like, where is it? I wish he would have just been like, hey, listen to me real quick. I need to do something. You're just going to just lay here. Yeah. You're good. And he was like, I think it might be inside of you. And I was like, okay, what?
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
sorry, I'm yelling for Will. Will, who has headphones on, right, of my voice. I was like, come again?
Yeah.
No, actually, don't come again. Because what? Because
apparently you don't have to do it safely.
I was like, you're never allowed ever again. This is like our 5th time having sex.
Oh
Truly.
my
It was
God.
so early on. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I think it's inside. And I was like, He's like, do you want, I said, this is your responsibility now. You're the captain of the ship. Go inside. You're going to find it. I'm not finding it. I said, I don't even know what to look for.
Oh my God.
I was like,
I don't even know what to look for.
I know it's my body, and I should have known more. But I was like, you got to find it.
Yeah.
I don't know where the fuck that shit goes. I don't know. You find it. And he was like, it really wasn't this comedic. I promise it was me like being like, okay. And he was like, it's okay. I'm going to find it. I was like, okay. He was like, you just need to relax. And I was like, I'm not relaxed right now. He was like, I know, baby, but for me to be able to reach it, you need to relax a little. And I was like, okay. And so I laid down, and he had to fish the condom out. This is great. Can't believe I'm sharing this. He fished it out, and he got it out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was one of my
all heroes wear capes.
No, truly. Thanks, bestie. But I remember sobbing to my sister and my mom because I was like, I'm probably going to get pregnant. And they were like, you're on the pill. And I was like, but there's that 1% chance. And they were like, it was in the condom. I was like, yeah, but that condom was in there, you know? And they were like, you're going to be fine. And he was sweet enough. He was
There's
like,
spermicide on it too, right?
yes, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll buy his plan B if you want. And then I was like, no, I think we're
What a sweet
fine.
boy.
Yeah, he was very sweet about it.
Yeah.
And again, he barreled down. He went, I'll get it. And he did. So thank you for that. So obviously there are many forms of birth control. That's not what we were going to get into today.
But we love that you started us there.
I
love that story.
I'm so sorry.
I can't believe you've never shared that with me.
I can't believe I've never shared that with you either.
We're now officially friends.
Yeah.
No. Just kidding.
I can't. It's because it's so embarrassing. And I know it's happened to other people, but I was just like, oh my God. I was like, that early on, like that.
Especially that early on in your like
sexual relationship.
Yeah.
I know. I was like,
that's scary.
It was a little terrifying.
Yeah.
But all good. You know, condoms are a very good use of birth control.
They're a good option.
They're a great option.
They're non-hormonal. It is the man's responsibility.
Yep. I would say in a relationship, a heterosexual relationship, if you're only using condoms, sure, you can talk about buying together. But I would say usually if the woman is only on the pill, she's buying that, and he's not usually putting money towards that. And I've had problems with men in the past, not actually anyone I've dated, but my sister's boyfriend. I got into a fight with him once
because he didn't want to help pay.
It's not that he didn't want to help, but he was talking about how it was like more of a political discussion. I was talking about how pharmaceuticals are so expensive. And I was saying specifically birth control, it should be something like, and we can't control what computes well with our body because me and my sister both individually went through 5 different birth controls before we found one that actually agreed with our body. Those are just pills.
Yeah.
And those
I think you have to test it first.
You have to test so many.
And your body has to go through whatever the negative outcome is. And of course,
my bitch ass uterus said, I only like the expensive one. We only like brand names here. And I was like, oh my God. So our pill packs, when my sister was on a different insurance, she was spending $100 per pill pack.
That's crazy.
And I know. And he was just saying like, yeah, well, it's fucking pharmaceutical. And I was like, do you offer to split it with her?
Yeah.
It's like, because I know that's the only form you guys use.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I was like, do you split it with her? And he didn't.
Wow.
So I'm tangenting a lot. I'm like going on a lot of different tangents.
No, because there is a lot to go through in this. Like, it's not only the cost of it.
Yes.
It's how it affects our bodies. It's the negative effects even coming off of those hormones.
100%.
It's the painful options outside of that. I mean, there's a lot to kind of cover here. And I think us going through, like, obviously we're not doctors. We don't know all of the science behind all of this. We can only speak to what we've personally experienced or our friends have experienced. And it's pretty much all negative.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's like, I love my birth control.
Yeah.
And all processes of it.
No. And every bit of it. I have not had one negative experience. You're so right.
Yeah.
And I think it is really, at least from my experience, I'm sure you've experienced something similar. It felt really thrust upon me as the woman in the relationship to take care of me not getting pregnant.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, this is not just for contraception against pregnancy. This is also for sexual health, STIs. Like, this is not something, and that's where I think condoms I highly recommend when you don't know who your partner is or you're still debating on whether you guys are committed or not. Like, that's where I'm like, condoms and me, we go like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's like a lot of STDs that can be cured, obviously, but then there's some that you will be left with for the rest of your life. So, like, not to take the risk with your personal health and making that decision for yourself. But I think outside of condoms protecting you on that for frontier, there's like the pregnancy, I think, is the main
main concern.
the main job of birth control.
Yeah.
And so when we get into that, it does seem that that's mainly and solely on the woman.
On a woman, yeah.
It's interesting. Like
or a person with a uterus.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. But from my personal experience, I was on the hormonal birth control as
I was going to say, can you give us your whole experience with birth control, please?
Lovely. So I was on hormonal.
You still are on birth control.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
you made it seem like it was past tense.
Oh, no. That sucker is safely in there. 3 doctors made sure of it.
Seriously.
So when I was younger, I was on hormonal birth control. Mm-hmm. I didn't think much of it. I was
What
on,
age?
I think I was probably about 16 when I went on it. I had a steady boyfriend in high school, and I just chose to do what for my safety. And at that time, like, that was obviously I'm a little bit older. So the conversations weren't being had. I never even thought like me and my partner should be sharing this cost. It just felt like it did fall on me.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to my mom about it at the time. So I was going to Planned Parenthood. God bless your souls.
Yeah.
And seriously.
Real ones.
Yeah. And I was getting my birth control that way. And I was on it for many years. And then when I turned, I want to say about 25.
So almost 9 years to 10 years you were on hormonal pills. Okay.
And consistently, like, so you're taking it every day. You're not thinking, it's just now become such a normal part of my life.
Totally.
And then I decided to go off at 25 just to like, because I wanted to, because my insurance, because I turned 25, my insurance was up. Gotcha. And so I couldn't get it in the same form. So I was like, I'm just going to go off of it. Mm-hmm. Having no idea this many years of being on hormones, how it was going to affect my body.
Because they make it seem like
it's nothing.
You just stop when you want.
Yeah.
You can just stop when you want. Just stop taking it.
And it's like this little thing. So you're not thinking anything of it.
Yeah.
And so I went off of it, and I'm a pretty tiny person just naturally, but I lost a ton of weight. And it was like unhealthy amount of weight where I was incredibly skinny. My hair was falling out in clumps, like just everywhere. And it was like so concerning. I was buying all of this product, trying to like make sure my hair wouldn't wouldn't go bald.
Yeah.
And so I was very like stressed for, I want to say it was over a year before it kind of like leveled out.
Wow.
And so after that, I wanted to go back on birth control, but I refused to do the hormonal kind. Like I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I did research, and the only non-hormonal option was an IUD. And I didn't know a lot about it. I just knew like, okay, I can get an IUD.
Yeah, the copper IUD.
Mm-hmm. And I went to the doctors to have it put in.
Inserted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was so painful. And I'm like in my mid 20s at this time, and it was so painful. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and my partner at the time was in the room with me, and he was like even stunned as we're like leaving the doctor's office. He's like, that was hard to watch.
Barbaric.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking if they gave you any warning? Were they like take any pain pills?
They gave me an Advil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were like, this should help.
Did they tell you could drive home by yourself? Like sometimes they'll.
I don't recall them telling me anything like that. I genuinely, I don't think I knew even going into the appointment what I was in for.
Yeah.
I remember leaving the appointment and getting lightheaded and thinking I was going to pass out.
Mm-hmm. That's a very common experience.
I remember being home that night and my brain knowing there was a foreign object in me and having the urge of wanting to pull it out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. That's some real like internal like not caveman, but like, just like I don't know what
like it's like your brain
instinctual.
Is
Yeah.
Like, I could like it was like I knew like I couldn't do it, but like I kept having this urge. I was like, I need it. Yeah. So that passed.
Damn.
Yeah. And then so the copper IUD is usually good for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so
sorry to interrupt you, but like when they gave me mine, they said 5 years. And I just talked to someone else, another friend who has one, and she was told 5 years, but now they're telling people 7 years. But I've always initially heard that it was 10 years.
Oh, yeah. I thought
when
it
first came out, they said 10 years. Yeah. So I don't know if they're just changing policies now or what, but
interesting.
I know I'm like approaching year 5 and I'm like, anyway, continue.
But I've also heard in different countries it's different because the reason I started, like I was coming up to the 10 year, or I was like, maybe I got it after 25 then. Because how many years? Okay, anyway, so I was coming up to the time limit where it was like, but my friend that lives in Canada said that it's 7 years in Canada.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so but here I've always heard 10. I've never heard 5 for the copper.
Yeah.
For the
Marina and
IUD,
Mirena or something.
Marina, yeah. That I've heard 5
Kylena,
years.
Mirena, like they were always fun, sweet names like that. Ours is the Paragard.
Yeah.
It's like Paragard. That sounds fun. That sounds super sexy.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, don't worry, baby. I got a Paragard. Oh my God.
Pickup line? Is that?
Oh, trust me. I lay that right on the line.
I'm going to go home tonight and be like, Neil.
Baby, did you know? We should do an ad for that.
Sponsor us.
Right? Every time I'm be like, get that money, get that back.
Yeah. So then I was getting up to the time limit where I was like, okay, I need to take this out.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mistake, I feel. So I go to Planned Parenthood. I have it removed, and they're going to replace it the same day. And I'm at this point in my mid-30s, and the woman is just struggling. And it is painful. And she's like, I don't want to force it open, but she's like, I can't get your cervix to open because as you get older, your cervix gets harder. And she's like, okay, I can't do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you home. I'm going to prescribe a medicine that it's like it softens the uterus. So you need to take this. Jeez. Yeah. You need to take this. I can't remember. Like, I think it was like a couple hours or 8 hours before coming. Mm-hmm. And it'll soften the uterus. I did that. I came back. She tried again. Still couldn't get it in. And so I'm like, okay, I'm old. Probably won't get pregnant anyway. No. Fuck this. And so then I just didn't have anything for a while. And then when me and Neil started dating, I was like, I need protection.
Yeah, you're like, there's a lot of extracurricular activities happening.
And I'm not ready for a baby.
Yeah.
So,
which you have every right to not ever want.
Thank you.
And that is fantastic that you were taking, matters into your own hands.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's great. It's very brave, especially doing it. Do you mind me asking, because I'm petrified, was the removal hard?
No.
Okay, that's what I've...
Super easy.
See, I had heard, but someone recently was like, in the removal. I was like, what about the removal?
Literally, I had a friend that her and her boyfriend were pretty wasted together, and she was on her period and thought she still had her tampon in, and she was like telling him to take her tampon out, and he reached in and pulled out her IUD instead.
Oh my God.
So
one guy said
not painful.
No. Okay. One guy said it to me in dirty talk. He was like, let's get that IUD out. Because he was trying to be like, reference giving me a baby.
Not sexy.
I'm going to say it wasn't not sexy.
Really?
Yeah. At the time. It was the
He must have been hot as fuck.
I have nothing to say on the matter other than the fact that he was very attractive. And he was like referencing like making a baby with me. And I was like... All right,
but let's combine these.
Yeah, I was just like, yes, correct. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of hot, but no, not the actual. I was like, whoa, slow down, cowboy. We're not doing that. Like funny, but not like no, God, no. So interesting. Okay, good to know that it's not as hard with the removal. Okay,
no, that's the simple part. It's always the insertion.
Yeah, the insertion. So then you come back.
So I come back. Because the Planned Parenthood couldn't do it. I went to my general practitioner, and then they referred me out to another doctor. And so I go to this doctor, explain to them what had happened before. The sweetest, like honestly, like I wish I could tout this hospital so much. They were so amazing. This first doctor comes in, she does the initial appointment with me. She's like, I have to schedule you further out, so I have to come back. And come back that day. She's like, I'm going to be doing the insertion. I'm like, great. And I'm working at the time. Like, I'm in the middle of production. She's like, if you want to be on your phone, that's totally fine. You can play music. I'm like, cool. She starts
trying to.
And then calls in another doctor. They're both down there as I'm on my phone.
It's bad when they're like, their elbow grease. They're like, I need to call in a second pair of hands.
Then
it's a tiny hole.
I mean.
Anyway,
It's
continuing.
painful. And like as like they're doing this, like just a reminder of how they do that. They take metal clamps and they pull open the cervix. So you are having
they're spreading it.
Yeah. So you're having pregnancy cramps because that's what happens when you give birth. Like your cervix has to open. So essentially you're going through that pain. And then they also have a speculum in you trying to place this thing.
Yeah.
And so 2 doctors down there, me on my phone trying to listen to music and also responding to work text messages at the same time. And then they get it placed, but then it's not placed correctly. So they had to pull that out. And then they call in a 3rd doctor. Now there's 3 women trying to figure out my situation as I'm crying. One's holding my hand and like just trying to tough it out as much as I can. And then they're like, success, we got it in. And I'm like, this thing's never coming out.
Yeah, no, I'm not fucking taking
Never.
this thing out.
So that's been my experience, kids.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're alone even slightly in any of those experiences.
Yeah.
And thank God for nurses and doctors and nurse practitioners that are so caring and would hold your hand and communicate and be really good about consensual, communication. But my fucking God,
I know.
There has to be another way.
There should be
There
another
has to be
way.
other ways. Yeah. Like my friend that listens to this podcast, she listened to our period episode and she brought up the IUD insertion. She was like, let me tell you my story.
Oh.
And she got into it and pretty much her first time was so horrific. They didn't even tell her that she needed to bring someone with her. They told her she could drive home by herself.
Oh, but see, I drove home from my last one too. Nobody says that.
I know.
Yeah.
I drove myself home with my mom and I
Yeah.
was just being like, my ego was in the way. I should have let my mom drive. But I've only done it once. But yeah, I'm like that. She's in there. She's in there. And I love when I go to doctor's appointments, they're like, do you want me to check the strings? I'm like, someone's got to do it. Because I'm not checking the strings.
I know.
Do you ever check your strings? Don't listen to us. We are not.
No, we are not doctors. Let me reiterate that.
We are not doctors.
Yeah.
You should be checking your spring, but your string. Your string, but I also get if you don't want to because I don't want to either. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to just go up there and just try and feel for it.
Yeah.
I'll sometimes even like.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say I feel out partners. I'm like, can you feel it? Could you feel strings? And they're like, oh yeah, I could. I'm like, thank God. Like I'll ask the guy I'm sleeping with, like, do you feel it? Did you feel it? It's super up there, and they always. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm going to get into the male ego really quick. Most guys are like, yeah, I can feel it. I'm like,
can they?
I really doubt you're that deep, but love the energy. Love the energy. Love the energy. But most of them say, yeah, I could feel the strings. I'm like, okay. Maybe. But I remember when I got it inserted.
Call, I'm like, honey.
Yeah. When I got it inserted, my doctor was actually a man, and I don't usually have male OB-GYN, but I was like, okay. So he did it, and he even was like, men are going to tell you that they feel it poking them. He's like, it's very rare that they can feel it, that they're even remotely close.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can get the strings shortened. Like they'll make them shorter, but he was like, it should not bug you at all with intercourse. And I was like, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah,
real doctor.
I do not check my strings.
No. And I know
girly.
they say to, but like honestly, like I never did, even in the time that I had it for the long time. And like generally they'll check it when you're getting like a pap smear.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They say that's why I love it when they go, you want me? I go, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please. And like our uteruses, if you don't know, they're like shaped like kind of like this. For anyone who's watching, it's like kind of like a cone, kind of like a almost like a funnel. Mm-hmm. That's how it's shaped, like a upside down triangle. But it's more curved at the top. Mm-hmm. And usually, they have to sit at the top. Mm-hmm. The T has to stop. And mine is actually a little askew. He was like, "You have too tiny of a uterus because you're so." It's not anything like with she's so tight. Like don't sexualize me, okay? But it's like one of those things. He was like, your body frame, you're so small that he was like, your uterus is so small that it had to be. He was like, I tried to put it dead center and I couldn't. It wouldn't flat. I was like, cool. I said, is it gonna work? I was like, that's all I need to know.
We need to know.
I need to know, is it gonna work? And I didn't trust it for a while.
Yeah.
I
remember when you first got it, actually.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, and also that was a different time in my life where I was not with one partner.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. So I was, using condoms. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like,
So
I don't know if it works.
She's safe.
Yeah. I think last year was the first time that I was like, roll the dice. Let's see if this actually works.
Let's test her out.
And
it works.
it works, man. I love you. But yeah, and birth control is so fucking infuriating. I got on birth control originally when I was 18 because of acne.
Oh.
It was like the last step before I went on Accutane.
Oh, wow.
Because you have to have 2 forms of birth control because Accutane causes such detrimental birth effects for if women get pregnant while they're on Accutane that you have to sign a contract pledging that you're using 2 forms of birth control all the time. Yep. So I was going to go on Accutane. So before I did it, my dermatologist was like, sometimes
birth control
will happen. He was like, if you're willing, he was not, thank God, he was not pushing that on me. He wasn't like, yeah, you have to go on. But he was like, you're going to have to use 2 forms of birth control if you go on Accutane. So why don't we try this first and see if it works. And if it works, then you don't have to go on Accutane. So that's what I did. And it worked for a short time. And I just started college. So I was like, there's going to be men knocking on my door. No, it took a little longer. They were. No, honestly, probably. I just was like, I'm here to act. Have you ever heard of it? I was like, don't disturb me in my path to a legacy. So yeah, it was one of those things. So I was on it for years. I was on it for 6 years.
And what was your experience coming off of it?
Horrible. Actually, exactly what you talked about. I lost so much weight, and actually, I was kind of happy about the weight loss. I'm not gonna, because at that point, I've always been tiny, but there was like stubborn weight on me that I was working out all the time and eating super well, and I just knew it was water weight, and I was like, why is it like sitting? And it was sitting in all of the hormonal places, like my lower belly and my thigh. And I was like, what in my arms? And I was like, what's going on? I'm working out all the time in hard workouts. Yeah. And as soon as I got off of it, I lost all that water weight. Wow. So it wasn't to an unhealthy degree like you experienced, it seems like, but I felt like I was finally what I felt like my size and what I was doing with how much I worked out and how much I ate. Lots of hair loss. That was like the scariest thing for me.
I wonder what that is.
It's so infuriating because I'm like, really? Yeah. You're going to do that to me? This is like, I have fine hair and you're going to do that to me? I was like, that is like so upsetting. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It must be something with the follicles or I don't know. But yeah, like I was getting like, not clumps or anything, but definitely more significant hair loss and in specific spots on my head where I was like, okay, do not create a bald spot. Yeah. So help me, Lord. And then I also, lots of acne coming off of it. But I already was having, the whole reason I went off of it was because I was experiencing acne because birth control is so temperamental when you take it, you're supposed to take it at the same time every day. Yes. Yeah. You're supposed to be really good at it. And at that time I had a traveling job where I was traveling all the time and my circadian rhythm was just completely off. Wow. And I would adjust to when the time, if I was in a different time zone. Yeah. And by the time the last year I was on birth control, I started breaking out more and more and like heavy breakouts, like on my neck and it was all hormonal. It was always right here. Right. And I was like, why the fuck am I on this? Yeah. Like,
it's not helping at all.
Yeah. And thankfully my boyfriend at the time was like, yeah, we'll find another way, you know? And I was like, cool. Okay. So went off of it, and then I ended up getting the IUD because I did a bunch of research, and I actually posted on our YouTube channel the book that I really recommend, Woman Code. We talked about that on the period episode. That really convinced me to go off of birth control because of how much she talks about how toxic it is and how much it can have lasting effects on you.
Well, even like the mental, like I think we've talked about this before too, like the studies of like how it affects the way who a woman is even attracted to, which is insane. Like we talk about the physical effects of it, but like, like
there's so much mental. And I don't know about you, when I was on birth control, I started at 18, probably right when my sex drive was probably starting to. I mean, I had it before, but where I was like actually willing to act on it. Yeah. And I was in a long-term relationship and I couldn't decipher if I had a low sex drive in general or if it was because of the pill, because I knew no different. Yeah. And I was like, we'd have that, not argument ever, because he was never arguing with me, but I was like, would talk to my partner about how upset I was, how I didn't have a higher sex drive, which could match his, or that I felt like I never had a sex drive, or like it was like barely.
That's so interesting. When I was on birth control, I remember telling a friend, I was like, I think I'm asexual.
Really?
Yeah.
See? There's multiple people that have said that. I've talked to multiple people that have thought they were asexual after being on birth control.
Yeah, and then
that's how much it shuts off.
It shuts everything off.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And now I know I'm not.
No, I know. That was the funniest fucking awakening when I got off birth control and went on to the IUD, and I was like, oh, bitch. No, you were unwell. Like you had not an iota of the sex drive that you have
couldn't
now.
have. Like, because your hormones are all like, you can't experience like
I was like running on empty at all times, and I didn't even know it. And I'm like, oh God. And that's where I'm like, I appreciate my first partner and like how much he, not that he dealt with it, but how comforting and assuring he was during all that time. And just, I'm sorry that you didn't get to experience me without it. So yeah, sucks. For both of us. Yes. Yeah, I think that that is something that a lot of people with uteruses experience is like low sex drive, the hair loss when you get off of it. Again, the acne when I got off of it. Some people gain a lot of weight. Thankfully, I lost weight that I felt I was carrying because a lot of women and people gain weight on birth control. And you feel like you're taking crazy pills at some point.
Completely.
And you're doing this all to avoid pregnancy. And there was a couple of times where I was like, not that I ever want this or wish this on anyone, but I'm like, we are like fear mongered into being like, don't get pregnant. And I'm like, so many women in their late 20s, early 30s have so much struggle getting pregnant, and we're like, it's forced down our throats to be like, don't get pregnant, you have to take this and this and this and this. And then it's like, when women go off of birth control, they're struggling to even get pregnant. Most
I mean, because like technically, like prior to getting this IUD put back in, when Neil and I started dating, what I did is a non-hormonal form of birth control where it was an app that I purchased that came with a thermometer. And you take
natural
your temperature.
cycles,
yes,
right?
exactly. And you take your temperature every morning and it'll tell you if you're fertile or not. Yeah. And because there is a window of time that you can be fertile in your cycle.
Ovulating. Yeah. The couple days before ovulation, during ovulation, and I guess not after ovulation.
So it's like, even if you just do that kind of like tracking, there is a way to kind of, not with 100% guarantee, like you're taking more of a risk that way. Yeah. But to like do it without
it's a high guarantee
if you're tracking it correctly.
If you're tracking it correctly. Yeah. And just people, I think, have to take everything into consideration. Yeah. If there is ejaculation within you, it can stay alive for multiple days in your uterus.
Those
that
suckers.
shit can keep swimming, and like she's Michael Phelps up in here, like truly. So you just have to be mindful. I think about it all the time though, especially now with more technology. They have the Oura ring that takes your temperature too.
Oh yeah.
And that
well, they have ovulation kits that you can take from home too.
Oh yeah. I'm like, depending on who my next partner is, I'm like, because again, like this gets in the way. The IUD is great in so many aspects where I feel like I don't have any extra weight gain. I don't have anything like that. Acne, I still have every now and then just because I feel like my hormones are still not fully balanced. And I try. You're so sweet.
Every time she says I have breakout, I'm like, where?
It's always.
Where?
And thank you. But it's one of those things where I'm like, but then I have the 12-day period or 11-day period where I'm like, that's affects my sex life too. And not super bad, but like enough that like if I had a 5-day period, which is normal, I feel like I'd be like, oh my God, a new lease on life. I'd be like, I can do whatever I want. And I think I would be able to do that if I was on the natural cycles, potentially. Because I really do think this is only directly because of the copper IUD.
No, for sure. I think that I told you, even for myself, like my period changed weirdly
drastically
after like getting this IUD put back in. I'm like, I've had a very regular cycle my entire adult life, and like now it's like completely different, and it's just like you're messing with
100%.
your whole setup.
And so many of these come with so many side effects, and that's what I think I'm so upset by. And I think we wish we had more options. I wish there was more testing there. I wish there was
more research done on all forms of like how can we safely give women birth control, how can we give it for men too? Whereas like
they did the the
trial birth
run
control.
and they gave them all of the side effects that they would be experiencing, and they were like, hell fucking no. And they were all the same side effects
experience
that we actually do though.
Yeah.
And they were saying it might, we don't know. That's why we're doing this trial. And they were like, nope.
Yeah. I know.
It's so upsetting. I will say there are vasectomies. There are
also very reversible and easier for a man to do.
I would say consult with your doctor. They are reversible to a certain degree. You know, like they will tell you the statistics there because we don't got them. Thank you, though. But,
Google that shit.
Yeah, or a doctor. You said Google that shit. I'm like, healthcare. And I think, definitely consult your doctor, because I have a friend that is married, and her and her husband, she said, I'm fucking tired. Birth control has wreaked havoc on her life. Multiple forms. Pill. She did the NuvaRing. She did the IUD now, and she's finally getting it out because her husband was like, no, I'm happy to get a vasectomy. Nice. He got it, and he was, of course, scared. And her and I had communicated about like, it's intense. And it would be, I understand the drawback of being like, it's still a surgery. But as far as like the bounce back and being able to use your equipment after, like a couple days.
A couple days, right? 48 hours or something like that?
I don't know if about 48, but I know it's like a quick turnaround.
And it's outpatient, much more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I don't know, if my man got a vasectomy so I didn't have to go on birth control, my man. I would talk about it all the time if he was okay with it. If he was okay with it. Well, yeah, maybe he'd be like, stop telling our fucking dentist that I have a vasectomy. I'd be like, fair.
It was so romantic.
Yeah, I'd be like, but I think I would be very excited about it sexually. And it would be something exciting.
Note to future husband.
You better be watching this podcast. But yeah, I don't know, I think that is an option nowadays that is definitely something that we should
talk about. At least talk about, right?
Yes.
Like talk about all the options, not like, I don't think women should feel like the ownership is only on themselves. I don't think it should also just be like, no, you have to do this. Like, as we say in so many of our episodes, like it's a conversation between a couple and deciding what's best for that couple. Yeah.
And I would even encourage in heterosexual relationships, men, if you don't know what your girlfriend's on, or like wife, or hopefully you do know, or like,
I hope you do.
I would maybe like open up that conversation to her. Be like, do you have any side effects? Like, how can I help you? What is like, how does it make you feel? Like, are you, instead of just being like, she's on crazy pills, so I avoid her for the week. No, please. Like, we're in 2024. We can arrive to the table, I don't know.
Absolutely.
And I think like there is so much room for like, oh, okay, well, how long have you been on birth control? Have you talked to your doctor about that? Like, don't have to be so invasive on their physical health, but at least being inquisitive, because I think that would be so helpful. And like, if you have the money and the means to help them with birth control, if they're shelling out all of it, I don't know.
Also, if somebody has to get Plan B because of you, fucking split that bill.
At least, or pay for it. Because let's be honest. Why do we need the Plan B originally? Because, you didn't have a condom? Was that what it? I'm sorry. It just felt so good. I couldn't put on a condom. What? Or, honey, the condom slipped up. What was it? What was the instance that made us get a Plan B? I'm yelling. I'm so sorry.
No, I love it.
But I'm like, and then when they're like,
preach.
You want a sprinter? No. God, no. If you're going to do it, buy it or split it at the very least.
Yeah.
Don't take matters into your own hands. I've heard women being like, if you take 3 pills from your birth control, it's like the same as Plan B. I'm like, don't play with science.
That's
here.
Definitely not.
I'm like, don't do this. Like,
who said that?
I'm like, go to Planned Parenthood. Go to your doctor.
Go to your doctor. And if you don't have health insurance, go to Planned Parenthood. They are a great organization.
So
please utilize
wonderful.
them and just stay safe.
Yeah.
And I mean, to like wrap us up here.
Please.
There are
and
many,
wrap it up.
Wrap it up, kids. There are many forms of birth control. Do what you feel safe with. Like, make sure you're aware of the side effects. Make sure that you're comfortable with the side effects. if you have a long-term partner that you're doing this with, having that conversation, see what works best for you guys. And then also if something doesn't work, even if after you tried it and you don't want to do it anymore, it's okay to come back and say like, this isn't working for my body.
100%.
And it will be different from body to body, but please take care of yourself and protect yourself in all ways. And
Thank you guys.
what
are you grateful for?
I am grateful for
Birth control.
Yes. I'm grateful for this IUD finally.
I'm sorry it was such a
Oh my
hellacious-
gosh, hellish. But I'm happy it's done.
Yeah.
I am grateful for. What am I grateful for? Oh, I'm grateful for. I know that I'm getting a burger for dinner tonight.
She's a burger girl too. We love burgers. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful for Pilates.
Ooh,
I've been on that
everybody's
Pilates
thankful
kick.
for your Pilates. Girl's booty is looking good.
Plump. Okay. I'm kidding. But I do I love Pilates. I feel like it gives me a lot of mental clearance and it's just fun. It's a fun way to move my body and I feel really strong. So
Love that.
Yay, Pilates.
Yeah.
Thank you all
Thank you
for
guys.
watching, listening.
We are so happy you're here. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like, and we'll see you next week
Yeah.
on Femtell All.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.